Rain can wash a city clean, but sometimes it reveals the cracks in our lives. On one cold evening, under flickering streetlights and pouring rain, a small act of kindness changed two families forever. One man thought he was just helping a stranger. He had no idea the world was quietly watching. What happened that night would ripple through news screens, living rooms, and one little girl's heart, proving that kindness, no matter how small, always finds its way back. Before the story begins, take a moment to support the channel, Soul Tales. If stories about humanity, hope, and kindness touch your heart, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need them. Michael Harris had learned to live tired. At 38, he was a single father to his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a short illness, and since then, Michael's world revolved around balancing grief, work, and parenthood. He worked as a waiter at a small family diner on the edge of town. The pay wasn't great, but the owner was kind, and the hours worked around Lily's school schedule. Every morning, Michael packed Lily's lunch, braided her hair as best he could, and walked her to the bus stop before heading to work. Every night, no matter how exhausted he was, he read her a story before bed. Lily called him her superhero, even though he didn't feel like one. That Tuesday evening, the rain came down harder than usual. The diner was busy, filled with the smell of coffee and fried food, and the sound of tired conversations. Michael had been on his feet for 10 hours when his shift finally ended. He wiped down the counter, tied his jacket tight, and stepped outside into the storm. The rain soaked him instantly. As he hurried toward the bus stop, he noticed someone sitting on the curb near the closed laundromat. At first, he thought it was a pile of clothes. Then the figure moved. It was a young woman. She was soaked, hugging her knees, her long coat dark with rain. Her hair stuck to her face, and her hands were shaking. Michael slowed down. He told himself he was exhausted, that he needed to get home to Lily, that someone else would help, but he stopped anyway. "Hey," he said gently, standing a few feet away so he wouldn't scare her. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up. Her eyes were red, not just from the rain, but from crying. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. She shook her head. Michael took off his jacket without thinking and held it out to her. "Here, you're freezing." She hesitated. "I can't." "Please," he said. "I'm heading home anyway." She took the jacket with trembling hands. Up close, Michael could see how young she was, maybe mid-20s, scared, alone. Her name was Emily. Between broken sentences, she told him she had come to the city for a job interview. The company had promised to reimburse travel costs, but after the interview, she received an email saying the position was cancelled. Her wallet had been stolen earlier that day on the bus. No cash, no card. Her phone battery was dead. She had nowhere to go. Michael listened quietly. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He just listened. "I have a daughter," he said after a moment. "If she was out here like this one day, I'd pray someone would stop." Emily's eyes filled with fresh tears. Michael walked her back to the diner, even though it was closed. He charged her phone inside and called a local women's shelter. They had one bed left. He paid for a taxi using the cash he'd been saving to fix his broken kitchen sink. When the taxi arrived, Emily tried to give his jacket back. "Keep it," Michael said. "It's old anyway." She looked at him like she wanted to say 1,000 things, but all that came out was, "Thank you. You saved me tonight." Michael watched the taxi disappear into the rain. Then he walked home in his damp sweater, cold but strangely warm inside. He never expected to see Emily again. Days passed. Life went on. Michael returned to his routine. Work, home, school lunches, storybooks, bills. On Saturday morning, Lily sat cross-legged on the living room floor, eating cereal and watching TV while Michael folded laundry. A news segment came on. "Tonight we bring you an inspiring story of resilience," the anchor said. "A young woman who survived a frightening night in the city is now sharing her journey and raising awareness about helping strangers in need." The camera cut to a familiar face. Lily froze. "Daddy," she said, pointing at the screen. "That's her." Michael looked up. It was Emily. She sat under bright studio lights, her hair neatly styled, her eyes steady but emotional. The caption read, "Emily Carter, Community Advocate." Emily spoke about that night, about losing everything in a matter of hours, about sitting in the rain, feeling invisible. Then her voice cracked as she talked about a stranger who stopped. "He didn't know me," Emily said. "He didn't owe me anything, but he gave me his jacket, his time, and his money. He treated me like I mattered. That kindness saved my life." Michael sat down slowly. Lily turned to him, her eyes wide. "Daddy, that was you." Emily went on to explain that after reaching the shelter, volunteers helped her reconnect with family. A former professor heard her story and helped her get a new job. She was now working with local charities to help people in crisis. "I don't know where he is," Emily said on TV, "but if you're watching this, thank you. I hope you know your kindness didn't end that night. It started something." Tears rolled down Michael's face. He hadn't told Lily about that night. To him, it wasn't a big deal. It was just what anyone should do. But Lily climbed into his lap and hugged him tight. "You're really a superhero," she whispered. The story didn't end there. A week later, the diner phone rang. It was the local news station. Someone had recognized Michael from Emily's description. They asked if he would be willing to share his side of the story. Michael almost said no, but Lily squeezed his hand and said, "Maybe it will help other people be kind." So he agreed. The interview was simple. Michael talked about being a dad, about how kindness is something Lily teaches him every day, about how anyone could have done what he did. After the segment aired, the diner filled up like never before. Customers tipped extra. Someone paid for Michael's groceries. Another fixed his kitchen sink for free. The owner gave him a raise. But the most meaningful moment came when Emily walked into the diner one afternoon. Michael recognized her instantly. She smiled through tears and hugged him like family. "I kept hoping I'd find you," she said. They sat and talked for hours. Lily drew pictures for Emily and told her about school. Emily promised to visit again. Before she left, Emily said, "You changed my life." Michael shook his head gently. "No," he said, "we changed each other's." That night, as Michael tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Daddy, why were you kind to her?" Michael thought for a moment. "Because being kind is how we remind each other we're not alone," he said. Lily smiled and closed her eyes. Kindness doesn't always make headlines. Most of the time, it happens quietly, in the rain, when no one is watching. But it has power. The power to lift someone off the ground. The power to inspire a child. The power to come back when you least expect it. So the next time you see someone sitting alone in the storm, remember this story. Remember that a small act of kindness can travel farther than you'll ever know, and maybe one day it will find its way back to you too.